In sports, there are games, there are seasons, there are champions, and then there are rivalries. These are more than matchups. They are timelines carved in adrenaline, battles that transcend the game itself. They make us hold our breath, clench our fists, and shout at screens. Because when two greats collide, not just once, but again and again, it becomes something else entirely. Legacy, identity, immortality. This is the story of the greatest rivalries in sports history. Not just who won, but what was at stake and what was left behind. Some rivalries are forged in hate, others in love. But all of them are built on respect, earned, not given. They're the flame that pushed legends into greatness. They reshaped leagues, rewrote narratives, and etched themselves into our collective memory. From the hardwood wars of the NBA to the blood-soaked trenches of the boxing ring, from family showdowns on the tennis court to the most cerebral shootouts in NFL history. These aren't just rivalries. They're the chapters that made sports what it is today. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Magic Johnson versus Larry Bird, the rivalry that saved the NBA. Old grainy footage fades in. Magic at Michigan State, Bird at Indiana State. Voe. Before the NBA had global superstars, shoe deals, or Twitter beefs, it had Magic and Bird. It was 1979. NCAA Championship. Magic Johnson's Michigan State versus Larry Bird's Indiana State. Two undefeated teams, one title. The game pulled in the highest TV ratings in college basketball history. But the rivalry was just beginning. In the 1980s, the NBA was teetering. Ratings were down. Fan interest fading. Then came the Celtics and Lakers, East versus West. Showtime versus grind Magic with his no-look passes and electric charisma. Bird with his ice-cold stare and ruthless execution. They met in 3 finals. Each time, the weight of the league hung in the balance. Bird got 1. Magic got 2. And in between, they elevated the game to art. Fast breaks became poetry. Half-court sets became war zones. But what made it beautiful, what made it matter, wasn't just the trophies. It was how they made each other better. How they respected what only the other could understand. They started as bitter foes. They ended as lifelong friends. Soundbite, Magic Johnson. There's not a day I don't think about Bird. This wasn't just a rivalry. It was the foundation for modern basketball. It was the reason why millions tuned in, why kids picked up basketballs, and why the NBA became must-see TV across the globe. Chapter 2. Muhammad Ali versus Joe Frazier. Warriors of different worlds. Black and white footage transitions into colorful slow-motion punches connecting. If Magic and Bird saved basketball, Ali and Frazier redefined boxing. Madison Square Garden. The fight of the century. Ali, the poet, the protester, the people's champ, back from exile. Frazier, the silent punisher, the working man's fighter, holding the crown. Both undefeated, both uncompromising. Frazier wins, Ali tastes defeat, but the war is far from over. Their second bout in 1974, Ali dances, Frazier swings. This time, Ali wins on points, 1 apiece, everything tied. Then came Manila. Clips of the Thrilla in Manila play with brutal music rising in tempo. Ali would later call it the closest thing to dying. 14 rounds of pain, pride, and punishment in the brutal Philippine heat. Ali wins. Frazier never fully recovers. But both emerge as something more than boxers. They were warriors who left pieces of themselves in that ring. Chapter 3. Serena versus Venus Williams. Blood, sweat, and sisterhood. Sunrise over Compton. Vintage home footage of young Serena and Venus practicing. What happens when your biggest rival is your sister? The Williams sisters weren't just tennis prodigies. They were a revolution. Raised by their father on public courts with little more than raw belief and unshakable discipline, Serena and Venus shattered stereotypes and redefined dominance. 2001 US Open. Under the lights, Venus defeats Serena, but Serena doesn't stay in the shadows for long. French Open, Wimbledon, US Open, Australian Open. Serena wins all four, each time beating Venus. These weren't cold wars, they were respectful wars. One sister trying to outdo the other, only to lift both higher. 2008 Wimbledon, Venus wins. 2015 US Open. Serena fights for the calendar slam. Venus nearly spoils the dream. They've faced off 31 times. Serena leads, but the scorecard barely matters. Chapter 4. Peyton Manning versus Tom Brady. The duel of football geniuses. Rain pours over Foxborough. Crowd roaring. Brady walks out. Manning follows. There are quarterbacks. Then there are field generals. From 2001 to 2015, if you were watching the NFL, you were watching Manning versus Brady. Two minds, two arms, one cold, efficient assassin, one relentless strategist. They met 17 times. Brady won more. But Manning, he had the moments. 2006 AFC Championship, Brady up 21-3. Manning storms, back 3-8-3-4. Colts to the Super Bowl. Redemption. Then came 2013. Brady leads a 24-point comeback in the snow. Overtime thriller, just another chapter. Their last dance. Manning's body breaking down. Brady in his prime. But the Broncos' defense holds. Manning wins, then walks away. A champion. These weren't shootouts. They were chess matches. Game plans rewritten mid-play. Audibles barked in chaos, each one rewriting the script of the modern quarterback. They weren't friends. They weren't enemies. They were architects of a golden era. In the shadow of their duels, the AFC was molded. Super Bowls were decided. Dynasties were built and broken. And while some rivalries fade, their echoes never truly go silent. They linger in jerseys, in memories, in highlight reels that play over and over again, each time reminding us why we watch, why we care. Emotional fade into channel branding. Which rivalry lives rent-free in your mind? Let us know in the comments. If you felt something watching this, hit that like button. It helps more people discover these legendary stories. And if you want more deep dives into the rivalries, collapses, and comebacks that shaped sports history, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time, right here, where sports meets storytelling.